I literally have tried 6 times to record this top 10 and it keeps crashing my computer. Thank you for tuning in to Hard News TV 4, Hard News TV 5, and more Hard News TV. I'm your host, Terry Lynn, and this is the channel where truth is like archaeology, and every day we're digging for it. Today is November 27th, 2020, and this is crucial information. I need y'all to stay to the end. The first 4 articles I'm tying in to my article for number 1. These are preludes to it. So from November 6th, Hong Kong Snitch line gets more than 1,000 calls. So we're going to look at the snitch lines that are going on. Okay? So Hong Kong's new hotline to report breaches of the controversial national security law has received more than 1,000 calls within hours of going live. Residents can anonymously send in images, audio, and videos if they suspect someone has violated the law. Anonymous people, government agents, spies, people setting you up, if they suspect someone has violated the law. So you're not going to know who turned you in, and it can be under suspicion. So now everybody's under an umbrella of suspicion, and anybody can turn you in. The law, introduced earlier this year, criminalizes secession, subversion, and collusion with foreign forces. It has already led to the several arrests of activists and has silenced protesters. The maximum punishment under the law is life in prison. So an anonymous person, it could be the government wanting to just get rid of you. An anonymous person can turn in, quote, evidence if they suspect you violated something. You could be at the wrong protest for the wrong subject and face a maximum of life in prison. Wow. Okay, let's go to the next article that's leading into this. So Hong Kong has a snitch line, and during the summer, this July 2020, NBA establishes a snitch hotline, receiving multiple tips. The NBA, grown men, set up a hotline for grown men to snitch on grown men. We are creating a culture of snitching, okay? And they think that the snitchers are thinking they're doing something good when they are creating a horrible life. When the NBA created a hotline for players to anonymously report violations inside their bubble, numerous questions emerged. How often would it get used? What consequences would told on players face? Y'all, don't that sound juvenile? What consequences would the told on players face? Oh, I'm going to tell on you. Oh, he was told on. She told on him. What consequences would the told on players face? Multiple tips have been placed into the NBA's anonymous hotline to report protocol violations on campus. Some players have received warnings from violations, sources said, as league ensures social distancing and mask protocols on campus. Oh, we got to get these tattletales everywhere. Watch out so you don't get told on. This is out of the UK from September of 2020. Snitch on your neighbors to police if they break the rule of 6, their prime minister says, okay? Or their minister says. Okay, and it says right here, the British public should report their neighbors to the police if they host gatherings of more than 6 people, a minister has said, as new restrictions contain the virus go into force. So we got Hong Kong snitch line, NBA snitch line, the UK snitch line, and then we've got a Fox contributor blasting Mayor de Blasio in April for creating his snitch hotline to snitch on neighbors during the lockdown. Fox News contributor and Fox Nation host Tammy Bruce took New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio to task for his recent calls for New Yorkers to report their fellow citizens to police for apparent violations in social distancing guidelines. Quote, "It is a time when we should be coming together and should be lifting each other up. Instead, here you have a leftist in a way that can only be described as ghoulish, encouraging people now to go against each other." Okay? It's pitting people against each other. And it's going to be enemies in your own house. You might think this virus is a lie. Somebody in your family think it's for real. They want to turn you in for maybe violating what's going to be called a national security law might be coming here. Okay? We might be national security risk by not submitting to this stuff. So all this is going to tie into article number 1. So we got all these snitch lines. Now your school is about to become another snitch line. Governor in Vermont. Schools will grill students about their Thanksgiving, then oust children who gathered. The once innocent question of what students did over their Thanksgiving break will take a new meaning in Vermont, according to Republican Governor Phil Scott. Vermont is among the states that have laid the blame for a rise in coronavirus cases on small gatherings that have flown under the radar of bans on larger gatherings getting together. As such, state officials have told residents not to have traditional Thanksgiving dinners. So these powers that be are telling the low-life people whose kids are in their school, y'all don't need to be having Thanksgiving dinners, which include multiple generations or families. In an effort to crack down on anyone celebrating the traditional way, Scott said students will be asked to inform on their families. Inform on their families. So little Susie, who's in first grade, who is all excited about finally being in school, who loves her teacher, who trusts her teacher has now become her enemy, her covert enemy. "Hi, little Susie, and what did you do for Thanksgiving?" So little Susie's going to tell that Mommy and Daddy put her in the back of the station wagon, and they drove over the hill and through the woods to Grandmother's house. They went with Uncle Joe and Aunt Mary and all of their cousins there having fun at Thanksgiving. So little Susie's going to say, "Well, we went to Grandma's house over the hill and through the woods. And who was there, little Susie? Uncle Joe, Aunt Mary, my one cousin, my second cousin, my third cousin, the next door neighbor, my mama, my daddy, and me, and my brother and my sister. 14 people, I think." Okay? So, and it says, "and the kids will be out." Little Susie don't know that she's going to get Mom and Daddy in trouble. Do y'all see? Do y'all see the Nazi situation that is coming down on us? And it doesn't stop at elementary. Now it's going up to the colleges. So this is from November 26th, yesterday. Brave new schools. College students are required to have a negative virus test before leaving campus for the holiday. Students in the State University of New York system are virtually held hostage by a new campus policy that requires all students to receive a negative COVID-19 test before allowing them to go home for Thanksgiving. Allowing them to leave. Not saying in order to come back to school you got to take the COVID test, but if you want to leave these premises, you will take the test. If you want to leave these premises of this school that you've paid us money to educate you on, if you want to leave here and go back home to your family that sent you here, you will be forced to have a 10-inch Q-tip stuck up your nose. Okay? This is like holding them prisoners. Okay? It's not saying when you come back, if you want to come back, you got to show that you didn't catch anything. If you want to leave here and return to your family, we're laying down the law. Can y'all believe this? Now, we're going to change lanes, but we're about to get into some more government control situation. This is from Reuters from November 25th. Norway outlaws hate speech against trans people. And wait, okay, I'm floored. Okay, wait till you see this. So before I read it, let's just put a hypothetical situation out there. Okay, let's say Mama June has a little baby boy named John, and she loves her baby boy John. Oh, loved him. He was the cutest, fattest little red-cheeked baby she ever saw. Loved that boy. At 20 years old, Aunt June's son John wants to become Susie Q. So John is now over 18. Little John goes and he starts transitioning into Susie Q. Okay? He's buying a wig, putting on stockings and high heels and painting his fingernails. And Mama June is heartbroken because she remembers her baby showers. She remembers going to the church and letting the pastor lay hands on her beautiful, bouncy baby boy that everybody went on how cute he was. She went with him all through school, loved watching him play sports. He wasn't very good, but that was her beautiful, bouncing baby boy, John. She loved him, okay? But now John done turned 18. He's still living at home with Mama, and he's become Susie Q. So now Mama can't even talk to Susie Q about the day that she gave birth. Her reality, Mama June's reality, is that on this date she had beautiful baby boy John. Loved that baby boy. Named him John. Has the birth certificate to show the day he was born and the time he was born. But now, all of a sudden, John is dead. John is gone. He don't exist no more. Susie Q done put the wig and the high heel shoes on, and John is just evaporated. Okay? Who gave birth to Susie Q? Who is Susie Q's mama? Who named Susie Q Susie? Okay? When was John's funeral? So now Mama June is just told to shut up about her reality because now Susie Q's world trumps hers. Okay? Now look at this. Norway's parliament outlawed hate speech against transgender people on Tuesday, expanding its penal code, which has protected gay and lesbian people since 1981. People found guilty of hate speech face a fine up to a year in jail for private remarks and a maximum of 3 years in jail for public comments. So if Mama June in her private home says to her husband, Charles, and they're sitting in the family, dining room at the table, and Susie Q is over in the living room, and she's like, I just can't believe John is Susie Q now, and I love my John. And John can turn her in for a hate crime because she dead named him. That's a real thing in the trans community. If you call them their birth name, they say that they're not that person anymore, and you dead named them. So Susie Q and her mama or his mama are now enemies in their own house, and Mama could face a year in jail. Okay? So wait, it's getting crazy. So then I'm going to put this still with article number 3. Remember, I did an article that Scotland said you can't talk about the Bible in your own home under their hate crime law. They're saying that the Bible is incendiary and it's offensive to certain groups of people. Wow. This is article number 4. Kind of goes along with it. This is from November 25th. We are in a cultural war. Decision reached as woman wants to be identified as her baby's father. Never in our existence have we ever had a generation where a newborn baby was going to be confused by birth because their mother is now their father. Y'all, this is just getting too much, okay? Article number 5. Australian state could jail Christians for 10 years for attempting to convert people. This is from November 26th, from yesterday. Legislation introduced in the Victorian government today could see Christians hit with heavy fines and lengthy jail times for attempting to convert LGBTQ people to Christianity or teaching certain portions of the Bible. So you're not going to be able to tell them that God says man shall not put on clothes that pertains to a woman, or women should not put on clothes that pertains to a man, or that a man should not lay with a man, or a woman with a woman, or you can't tell them about Romans 1, or you could face 10 years in jail. Okay, so you can talk to maybe an adulterer, showing them that adultery is wrong and to repent and that they would come to the knowledge of the truth. You could talk to somebody who lies, cheats, steals. Even you could talk to a murderer on death row about he was wrong for committing murder and give him a chance to renounce his sin and repent and accept Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. But we are forbidden for bringing hope and deliverance to a whole section population of society. And it's going to be outlawed in certain places that you can't even talk about it, and you can't even read the Bible at your house. This is going to leave people without hope, dead in their trespasses and sin, without a Savior. Okay? We are in perilous times when schools can ask little Susie if she went to grandma's house for Thanksgiving, but you can't talk about the eternal things. Good is evil and evil is good. Article number 6 is from November 24, 2020. Mississippi cops can now use your Ring doorbell camera to live stream your neighborhood. Well, you might say, well, that don't matter. I don't even have a camera. But your neighbors might. Well, I'm not worried. I don't do anything wrong. Not under the current definition of the law as it is, you might not be doing anything wrong. But what if they redefine the law? Okay? What if they shut down churches and you want to have a home Bible study at your house? You don't have a home Ring doorbell on your house, but the people across the street do, and they are seeing who's coming over to your house. License plate readers are letting them know who's coming over to your house. They're seeing them walk in. Or let's say, okay, I don't even believe in God. Okay, let's say you're walking out and you're wanting to go to the grocery store, and your little 3 or 4-year-old kid wants to run out in the neighborhood street, and you run and grab them by their arm and pull them up off the sidewalk, and their feet leave the ground because you're just jerking them out of the way of a car, and you start fussing at your kid. The camera just caught it. Somebody might call that child abuse because you jerked your kid's arm too hard. You're out in your own yard talking about something that the government has just said that you can't talk about, and you're filmed on a camera saying it. And your neighbor's doorbell is working with the police department. That can be evidence used against you. Article number 7. Christian bookstore in the UK is forced to close, and UK police arrest customers amid the COVID lockdown. Police in England have launched a COVID crackdown against Christian bookstore and a tea room, arresting 2 men for attending the gathering despite lockdown restrictions. 2 men. According to the BBC, the incident occurred on November 14th at the Mustard Seed in Gidling, Nottingham. Officers detained the men and fined them the equivalent of $267 after they refused to provide details about themselves, following reports that 40 to 50 people were inside the shop. So somebody called and said 40 to 50 people's over at this Christian bookstore, some little snitch, and there were 2 people. Okay? Says officials told the business owner to close down earlier this month, and they didn't. She said, I'm not doing this because I'm a rebel. I do not believe what I'm doing is unlawful. I'm standing up for what is right and moral. She has faced multiple fines totaling $22,700 for overlooking lockdown orders. She intended to remain open so community members struggling with mental health issues had a place to seek support. However, the magistrate's office issued an order to close the mustard seed. Counselor John Clark with the Giggling Bureau Council said officials had no other alternative but to shut down the business. The closure included issuing fines or possible imprisonment for anyone found on the premises. So, you can do whatever you want, but you can't read the Bible. You can't go to a Christian bookstore. You can't talk about the Bible. You can't take your kids to grandma's house without the school getting involved in it. Okay, article number 8. I talked to y'all that Putin said the other day that he is not going to take the vaccine. Well, he used to be with the KGB. He's military intelligence. He knows about germ warfare, and he's like, no, I'm not down with this right now. I'm not taking it. Well, guess what? He's not the only president now to say it. Brazil's president just came out and said that he's not going to take the coronavirus vaccine either. So now that we have the Russian president and the Brazilian president both saying they're not going to take it, I wonder if they're going to force it on their country. So this article is going to lead into the next article. Okay? Believing conspiracy theories might make you a criminal, study has found. So if we take the position of Putin, says, no, I'm not taking the vaccine, I don't think it's safe. We take the position of the president of Brazil, say, no, I'm not going to take it. They would call us conspiracy theorists. And this article from February 2019 says that if you believe in conspiracy theorists, you might be a criminal. A new study finds this is to gaslight you to your family and friends who think you're a nut job. This study is just to validate them and to demonize the people that have thinking skills. Go figure. If you're a birther or a 911 denier, chances are you aren't much fun to be around. Sure, we've been saying this about our whack job uncle for years, but now it is backed up by science. People who buy into outrageous conspiracy theories say that no human has ever walked on the moon or the ancient pyramids were built by aliens are more inclined to actively engage in antisocial behavior. That's the main finding of a team of psychologists from the UK Strathclyde University and the University of Kent who investigated the wider impact these paranoia-fueled fringe beliefs can have on our behavior. So it goes on to attack anything that we've questioned, says that we're basically whack jobs and we have a predisposition to be criminal. Okay? This is pre-crime. This is pre-crime. And this could make us national security violators. Now, I'm sure they're going to call this a conspiracy theory, but it's in the paper. Joe Biden, return of the CFR, Council on Foreign Relations. Joe Biden's presidency means a return to normality simply because it means a return to the U.S. Council on Foreign Relations, the CFR. So I'm going to call this next article, article number 10. Illuminati CFR by Myron Fagan, 1967, Amazon. CFR completely unmasked as Illuminati, 1966. Okay? The CFR is a branch of the Illuminati, the one world government. They've been writing about it for 54 years, and all of Joe Biden's appointees are all CFR members. In 2008, Barack Obama received the names of his entire future cabinet already 1 month prior to his election by CFR senior fellow and Citigroup banker Michael Froman, as a WikiLeaks email later revealed. Consequently, the key posts in Obama's cabinet were filled almost exclusively by CFR members, as was the case in most cabinets since World War II. To be sure, Obama's 2008 Republican opponent, the late John McCain, was a CFR member too. Michael Froman later negotiated the TPP and the TTIP International Trade Agreement before returning to the CFR as a distinguished fellow. In 2017, CFR nightmare President Trump immediately canceled those trade agreements because he viewed them as detrimental to U.S. domestic industry, which allowed China to conclude its own recently announced RCEP free trade area encompassing 14 countries and a third of global trade. Trump also canceled other CFR achievements like the multinational Iran nuclear deal and the UN climate and migration agreements, and he tried but largely failed to withdraw U.S. troops from East Asia, Central Asia, the Middle East, Europe, and Africa, thus seriously endangering the global U.S. empire built over decades by the CFR and its 5,000 elite members. Surprisingly, most of the U.S. media, whose owners and editors are themselves members of the CFR, didn't like President Trump. This was also true for most of the European media, whose owners and editors are members of the international CFR affiliates, like the Bilderberg Group and the Trilateral Commission, funded by CFR directors. Okay? So Biden promised that he would form the most diverse cabinet in U.S. history. This may be true in terms of skin color and gender, but almost all of his key figure cabinet members have one thing in common. They are indeed members of the U.S. Council on Foreign Relations. And do y'all remember when Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State? She said she took her orders from Kissinger and the Council on Foreign Relations. Now, I'm going to let y'all hear it with her own mouth, saying that the CFR runs the government. Here we go.
Oh, thank you very much, Richard, and I am delighted to be here in these new headquarters. I have been often to, I guess, the mothership in New York City, but it's good to have an outpost of the council right here down the street from the State Department. We get a lot of advice from the council, so this will mean I won't have as far to go to be told what we should be doing and how we should think about the future. I mean, Richard just gave what could be described as a mini version of my remarks in talking about the issues that confront us. But I look out at this audience filled with not only many friends and colleagues, but people who have served in prior administrations. And so there is never a time when the inbox is not full. Shortly before I started at the State Department, a former Secretary of State called me with this advice: don't try to do too much. And it seemed like a wise admonition if only it were possible. But the international agenda today is unforgiving. 2 wars, conflict in the Middle East, ongoing threats of violent extremism and nuclear proliferation.
So, Kissinger is a member on the Council of Foreign Relations, okay? So she said that she doesn't have to walk very far to get her orders. And so every single one of, and this is part of the Illuminati, and every single one of Joe Biden's appointees are from the CFR. So y'all please leave me your comments below and let me know what y'all think. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.